In the religion of the ancient Egyptians, their concepts of the afterlife were of crucial importance. These beliefs had a great influence on the development and shaping of the style of pyramids and tombs, and on the entire architecture of ancient Egypt as a whole. People considered preparation for the afterlife to be one of the main tasks of their earthly life, which is why the improvement of the future tomb played an important role. The Egyptians imagined the afterlife as a continuation of earthly existence. Even after death, a person continues their path in the kingdom of immortality. According to the religious teachings of the ancient Egyptians, a person possessed several souls. The main ones were Ka and Ba. Ka was a person's spiritual double, whom they met after death. In the cult of the dead, Ka occupied a very important place. The tomb of the deceased was called the House of Ka, and the priest who performed the funeral rites was called the Servant of Ka. Ka made the deceased capable of existing after death and performing vital functions. Ba meant what could be called a pure spirit. It left a person after their death and headed for the heavens. It was a person's inner energy, their divine essence. According to initial beliefs, only the pharaoh had the right to exist in the afterlife. The funeral priests uttered magical incantations, performed funeral rites, and brought sacrifices. The pharaoh could grant immortality to members of his family and royal nobles. This meant that they could be buried next to the pyramid or tomb of their ruler. An ordinary person did not have the right to immortality and could not enter the underworld. Such a right belonged only to those slaves and servants who were depicted on the walls of the tomb. It was believed that the pharaoh took them with him. In the underworld, populated by the deceased, only those could exist, and this is the most fundamental thing, who were supplied in this world with everything necessary for their afterlife existence. This implied absolutely everything that the deceased used during their life: a dwelling, food, servants, slaves, and basic necessities. But first and foremost, it was necessary to keep the body undamaged, to protect it from any external influences. Only under the condition of the absolute preservation of the body could Ba, the soul of the deceased, moving freely in space, reunite with the body again at any time. These beliefs gave rise to two consequences: the embalming of corpses and the construction of tombs that resembled fortresses rather than graves. Each pyramid was meant to serve as a protection for the mummy hidden inside it from any possible enemy, from any audacious acts, and from the disruption of peace. The construction of even a medium-sized pyramid was no simple task. Entire expeditions had to be sent to deliver granite and alabaster blocks to the Giza Plateau or the Saqqara Plateau. From the beginning of the New Kingdom, pharaohs began to be buried in the Valley of the Kings to the west of Thebes, where a new necropolis was formed. In total, there are about 70, or perhaps even about 80 pyramids. Just recently, in 1952, the Egyptian archaeologist Muhammad Zakaria Goniam discovered another hitherto unknown pyramid in Saqqara, 20 kilometers from Cairo. Philo listed the pyramids at Memphis among the wonders of the world. Most authors mentioned the pyramids. In general, some specified the 3 pyramids at Giza, and the most fastidious ones consider only the Great Pyramid of Cheops to be a wonder of the world. The most ancient pyramid, the Pyramid of Pharaoh Djoser, was erected about 5,000 years ago. Its builder, Imhotep, was an architect, physician, astronomer, writer, and advisor to the pharaoh. For many centuries, he was considered the greatest wise man of antiquity. Legends were made about him, and his works and books held immense authority for thousands of years. Imhotep was considered a mage and a sorcerer, and in later times he was deified, with temples built and statues erected in his honor. The site chosen by Imhotep for the construction of the Djoser Pyramid Complex is located on the edge of a plateau, offering a beautiful view of Memphis. The complex occupied a rectangular area, 545 by 278 meters. It was surrounded by a white limestone wall 10 meters high. The wall was reinforced with towers and divided by flat projections. It had 14 gates, but only one was real. If you looked at the gates from inside the complex, it seemed that all of them were open. The pyramid itself was in the middle of the complex, its height being 60 meters, and it has a base with sides of 118 by 140 meters. The construction work at individual stages was carried out differently. At first, small-sized stones were used, and then the size of the stone blocks gradually increased. At the final stage of construction, the pyramid was faced with blocks of white limestone. The burial chamber was located under the pyramid at a depth of 28 meters. Its walls were covered with slabs of pink granite. A shaft and corridors with many side passages and branches led to the chamber. They housed burial equipment and sacrificial offerings. Some rooms were lined with blue tiles, which created the appearance of the sky vault on the upper part of the walls and on the ceiling. Archaeologists discovered 3 bas-relief images of Pharaoh Djoser. He is depicted during religious rites. Underground, near the eastern side of the pyramid, 11 narrow burial chambers were prepared. They were located at a depth of 33 meters. Members of the royal family, mainly children, were buried here. Djoser's pyramid was stepped, having the shape of a staircase, along which the pharaohs allegedly ascended to heaven. The significance of the Djoser pyramid complex lies mainly in the fact that it is the first monumental stone structure in Egypt. Imhotep made those elements and parts of buildings out of stone that before him had been made of brick and other materials. The most famous are the 3 large pyramids near Giza, Cheops, Khufu, Chephren, Khafre, and Mycerinus, Menkaure. The largest of them, the Pyramid of Cheops, was constructed in the 18th century BC. Based on his Egyptian impressions, Herodotus recounts the construction of this pyramid as follows. Cheops forced the entire Egyptian people to work for him, dividing them into 2 parts. To the first, he ordered to engage in the delivery of blocks from the quarries in the Arabian mountains to the banks of the Nile. Others were engaged in their further transportation to the foot of the Libyan mountains. 100,000 people worked constantly, replacing each other every 3 months. Over 10 years of hard labor, a road was built along which the blocks were delivered to the river. According to Herodotus, the construction of this road was no less difficult a task than the construction of the pyramid itself. The road was paved with polished stone slabs decorated with carvings. The construction works around the pyramid were completed, and the construction of the underground structures intended for the tomb and the burial chamber of the pharaoh was finished. The construction of the pyramid itself, however, continued for another 20 years. Originally, the Pyramid of Cheops rose to 147 meters, but due to the encroachment of sands, its height decreased to 137 meters. Now at its peak, there is a flat platform where a British anti-aircraft defense post was located during World War II. Each side of the square base of the pyramid is 233 meters, and its area is more than 50,000 square meters. The pyramid consists of 2,300,000 cubic blocks of limestone with smoothly polished sides. According to Napoleon's calculations, the stone blocks from the 3 pyramids at Giza would be enough to encircle the whole of France with a wall 3 meters high and 30 centimeters thick. Each block weighs an average of 2.5 tons, and the heaviest weighs 15 tons. The total weight of the pyramid is 5.7 million tons. Researchers who tried to find out how the ancient builders were able to erect such a grandiose structure, and not just erect it, but give it a geometrically correct shape, were simply driven into a dead end. Sometimes the opinion was even expressed that the pyramids could not have been built by a people living in the Bronze Age, and that those colossal structures were created with the participation of aliens. The pyramids were built using muscle power. On the right bank of the Nile, in the quarries near Memphis, thousands of people were busy extracting fine-grained white limestone. In the rock, the boundaries of the future block were first marked, then a deep trench was chiseled out along them, and wedges of dry wood were driven into it, which were then poured over with water. The wood swelled, increasing in volume, the crack widened, and eventually, the monolith separated from the rock. Then the stone block was processed on-site using tools made of stone, copper, and wood. It acquired the shape of a standard cube. The processed blocks were transported by boat to the other bank of the Nile. To lift the blocks, the Egyptians built an inclined ramp out of brick and stone at an ascent angle of 15 degrees. As the pyramid was being constructed, the ramp was extended. Along these ramps, the stone blocks were dragged on wooden sledges, and to reduce the friction force, the track was constantly poured with water. Then, using wooden levers, the blocks were installed into place. When the construction was mostly finished, the inclined ramp was leveled, and the surface of the pyramid was covered with facing blocks. The quality of the work of these builders, who lived 47 centuries ago, was such that the mismatches of the horizontal and vertical lines of the pyramid do not exceed the width of a thumb. The stones were fitted so tightly to one another that you cannot insert even a needle between them. In many pyramids, intricate labyrinths, blind chambers, and traps were arranged, which were supposed to prevent robbers from reaching the mummies and grave valuables. But this did not help. By the time scientists seriously took up the study of the pyramids, they were already almost empty. The Great Pyramid of Cheops was often called the Bible in stone. At dawn, when its peak is still drowned in mist, the pyramid appears pinkish peach. In those rare moments when the horizon is covered with clouds, it looks grayish-black, and in the cold light of the moon, it resembles a snow-covered mountain peak. Even in the times of the greatest glory and majesty of any European monarch, none of them had a palace that could compare in size with the tomb of this pharaoh. Smaller than it are Buckingham Palace in London, Versailles in France, the Winter Palace in St. Petersburg, and even the Escorial in Spain.